Hi everybody and welcome to this webinar called Why MSPs Should Offer Online Backup for Office 365, presented by SureWeb. I'm your host, Guillaume Boisvert, Product Director for Security and Compliance. I'm joined today with Frédéric Charret, Marketing Strategist at SureWeb, responsible for online backup and other products. Today, short and sweet webinar as you like them. We'll get into a few points, but basically what we want to cover is why, as a partner, you should offer your clients the possibility to back up their Office 365 emails. We basically split it into 3 chapters. First one, customer pain points and responsibility to safeguard data, an important thing. Then we'll get into a little bit of a demo to show you what it looks like when you back up and recover Office 365 email using SureWeb Online Backup. And then we'll talk about the nitty-gritty, the financials, talk about price, talk about what you can do to make sure that you earn as much money as possible. Before we go any further, a couple of housekeeping items. This webinar is recorded. You're going to receive a link to this presentation in the next 24 to 48 hours. If you have to leave, don't worry. You'll get that link. You can watch us at any time. If you love the webinar and you want to watch us a second time, you'll be able to do that as well, although that you'd be the first one to do that. Other than that, if you have questions, the software that we're using as a Q&A box, please make use of it. Send us questions all the time. Most likely we'll wait to the end to answer as many questions as possible if we don't have time, but I think today we should probably be good to answer most questions. If we don't have time, we will get back to you either via email or via your account rep at SureWeb. So, as I said, we're going to keep this short and sweet, so let's get going, and I'm going to pass it over to Frédéric, who's going to talk to us about why you should resell backup solutions for Office 365.
Thank you, Guillaume. One of the major questions that we get about online backup is why I should resell online backup on top of Microsoft for Office 365. The first reason that we say is the first threat for business security is inside the company. I mean, the users have behavior that can put data at risk, and one of the major risks in there is that Office 365 trusts those users. Security, we've identified like 4 different types of users. The first one is the neat freak. I'm pretty much that kind of user. I like to erase everything in my mailbox. I don't like to keep emails that I won't use anymore. So I've got that behavior to archive or delete as much as possible. And sometimes at the end of the week or the end of the month, someone will ask me for a file or an email that I would have deleted. And to have a solution like SureWeb Online Backup, give the power to the user or the admin to find back those emails. The second one, as we've seen in the past weeks, phishing is getting more and more popular. There was a huge phishing attack against Gmail. More than 0.1% of users were attacked. What we've seen is there is over 1 million users that got their access to their Gmail, to their emails, to their contacts and calendars. So
Yeah.
there are kind of users that are the perfect behavior to be security breach for your business and for your clients. As an example, they use really bad password. They also believe any email they receive. As an example, today I sent an email to Guillaume saying, "Oh, you should read this," with a link. And he said phishing with a question mark.
Yeah.
It's the kind of behavior that Guillaume is good enough to think that might be phishing. I won't log in and put my password. So... and the last one, what we can see is there is kind of administrator or users that want to have desire of revenge against your company, and they will just delete everything. As an example, an employee that will leave the business, that will decide to delete all his email because he believes there is personal information in those emails, and at the end, with the Office 365 backups, you won't be able to find those info anymore. There is 2 other points that's really important about reselling a backup solution for Office 365. One is to generate more revenue as an MSP. We'll talk about that opportunity with our solution later on during that webinar. And the last one is also how you can recovery in different method and to be faster than the current Microsoft recovery backup solution.
Yeah, and to be kept in mind, Office 365 does offer you a layer of protection. And one thing to remember is Office 365 is meant to be resilient. It is like they have multiple copies of your data, and even if they have failure of hardware and everything, you're not out in the cold. They most likely won't use your data. What we're talking about is more about retention. So there is a 14-day retention by default in Office 365, and yes, if you delete something, it will be in your deleted folder for that 14 days. But it's after that it gets much more complicated, and what we're trying to do is offer you a solution that solves that problem. More than that is we feel that this is probably the best solution that you can offer your end clients as a way to increase your services with them. If we're talking long-term retention, if we're talking long-term retention, you're better suited with a third party. There's a few other things about taking things out of Microsoft's cloud. If you're gonna make a safety copy, probably you don't want to keep it in the same place that you're keeping the original copy. We fully trust Microsoft infrastructure. It is very high quality, and their track record is very good. But at the same time, it makes no sense to keep your safety next to your original. So let's move on directly to the demonstration. We like to show you as soon as possible what the product looks like so that the rest of our explanation really can make more sense. You're going to have to give me just a second as I switch to my demonstration. So one thing of note with this product is that you have to have a agent installed on a computer that will do the bridge between Office 365 and the solution. Usually what we recommend, or what we've seen our partner do so far, is that they'll put it on a file server that's local to the client, or the administrative computer that is used, let's say, for reception, things like that. It doesn't have to have any performance characteristic. It doesn't need to be super reliable, because if the agent itself stops for a day or something like that, it's not really a concern. You can fix it. You can install it on another computer, just get it going. Your backup themselves most likely won't reside on that computer. So it's just you need a place to have the agent to connect. The reason for the agent is basically that ShareWeb Online Backup works agent-based. Most people are used to that for file backups, server backups, things like that. It just works the same for Office 365. So what I've done here, and this is like a cooking show, all the stuff is already ready so we can switch quickly between them. I've already installed the agent and connected it to my organization of Office 365. This is a very simple process. As you can see here in the portal, there is actually not in this portal. If I go to, this would be your account. If you have online backup with ShareWeb, you would see the add button here to add device. And amongst the list of device, there is one called Microsoft Office 365. If you click that link, you will download the agent, and this is where you can get that file, install it on any computer, any Windows computer, and once you do that, that device will show up here in this list of device, and you will have a new tab here that says on the left Microsoft Office 365. Once you click that, it will ask you for your tenant. You have to be a global admin, by the way. It's one connection, not one per mailbox, not one agent per mailbox. You install the agent once, you give it the organization global admin, and then all your email boxes will appear here in this list. So you can see this is a fairly small organization called ssc42.onmicrosoft.com. Most likely you would have your own domain and everything. And I only have 3 users, myself and my 2 coworkers, Rocket Raccoon and Starlord. They're fairly well known. Maybe you may have heard of them. I think they're well known. So that's it. Once you have that, most likely you want to create one backup job for all of your mailboxes. You have the ability to create a different one for each mailbox or groups of mailbox, things like that. Most likely your most popular use case would be to create one for all of your mailboxes. Then you simply click backup. You can see I already have a backup plan called Microsoft Office 365 long-term backups. You could add a new one. I'm going to do that now just to show you. It takes a few seconds. Obviously, this is a web interface, and it looks in the background. Make sure that it looks at all your emails, gets all the options and everything. Once you have that, most likely you want to create one backup job for all of your mailboxes. You have the ability to create a different one for each mailbox. Then you simply click backup. You can see I already have a backup plan called Microsoft Office 365 long-term backups. You could add a new one. I'm just to show you. It takes a few seconds. Obviously, this is a web interface, and it looks in the background. Make sure that it looks at all your emails, gets all the options and everything. and then you could choose. There's not a few different things that you can choose. Actually, let me just go back here, edit this one. Amongst the things that you could choose is where to back up. And here I'm going to do something surprising and give you a bit of a hack. If all you want to do is create a local copy of your backups, then you could choose local folder, store all your emails on-premise to your client, and you now have local backups and they won't cost you anything. And we'll get into pricing in a little bit and you'll understand what I'm saying. Most likely you want to send them to SureWeb because on SureWeb infrastructure, they're on enterprise grade hardware, redundant drives, and all that good stuff. Set a schedule. You can go down to just about every hour. Most likely you want to do, well, not most likely, it really depends on the type of client that you have and the granularity that they want to have. It will use a little bit more space if you do more frequent backups. Honestly, go as often as you like. Emails don't take that much space anyway, unless it's a very large organization. How long to keep backup? It depends. You see this one is keep indefinitely. Obviously, you have different options. You can go by number of backup or indefinitely. One important thing is actually, you can't do encryption on email, by the way, before I get into that. The rest of SureWeb Online Backup, you can do encryption, very interesting. So let me just go back here. Actually, you can do encryption, you have to set it originally. You can't switch that settings by mistake. You can't switch that setting once the job has been created. You have to do it on the original. So, as soon as you've created it, I recommend to click run now, and then it will take an initial backup of all your email. You're now protected. It is being sent to the SureWeb infrastructure. Once you have backups, there's a number of ways that you can restore those backups. So if you want to restore it, it's per mailbox. So let's go to my own mailbox, go into the recovery option. It will load the different recovery point. As we've mentioned, there's a big difference between resiliency and backups. One difference is that as the days go by, I may create new email, delete emails. With this, I can go back to a point in time and find the emails that I need. Even if I've deleted them for 6 months or whatever, they will be in that copy. So let's go to yesterday at 11 p.m. and then click recover. So you have a couple of options. You can recover single email messages, or you can recover the whole mailbox. Then let's go into the single message recovery. And this takes me to a very neat portal where basically I'm literally in my mailbox at the time that the backup was taken. So you can see 2017, May 10, yesterday at 11 p.m. I can see all my folders. One thing of note, it doesn't just back up email messages. It does calendar item, contacts, tasks, and just about every folder. And I can see my messages. And let's say the message that I want to find, I want to remember what I put into, let's say this one, then I can just click the message and read it directly from the interface. So obviously this is lorem ipsum, it's just a random test message. But you can read it right there. The other option is you can send it as an email. So most likely, popular scenario that we see all the time, boss calls like, I lost my email, I need that email from a month ago or from 2 days ago or whatever. You find it in these archives, click the send as email, and you can send it directly to somebody with a little message that says, hey, Joe, here's the message that you were looking for. The last option is to simply recover. And recover will recover it in place within the same mailbox where it originally was. It will create, when you recover either a full mailbox or like that, it will create a folder called recovered items, I believe. Something with recovered. And within it will be all the messages that you've recovered. The reason that it doesn't just simply crush it in place is because it's then very hard to find the message that you've recovered, meaning if they're from 2 years ago, how do you find them in your inbox? Maybe in your inbox it'd be very easy to find because yours is very clean. Mine has I think I'm at 30 or 40,000 items, so very bad at keeping everything neat and proper. So going back here, that's all there is to it, really. I'd like to make it more complicated, but it is such a simple product. Very practical interface. You can consult it. You can recover the message for other people. The attachments are there, the tasks, the calendar items. It really works the way that you would expect it, which is really all we ask from our products. If you have questions about the usage and the interface and all that, please use the Q&A boxes. I'm going to just flip back to my presentation. So, now that you've seen it, let's get to the nitty-gritty, the pricing.
There's one question about the recovery interface. Can
Yep.
it be available for individual users?
So can you give somebody access to their own mailbox?
Yes.
At this time, that is not possible. It is on the roadmap, but no, it is only the admin that has access to all the mailboxes. It's a good question. It's a request that we've had, and that's why we've added it to the roadmap. Stay tuned. We'll probably do more of those webinars to announce these things. Okay. Sorry. Here's a good panel. There are other solutions to back up Office 365, including Microsoft's solution to back up Office 365. We've talked to the product managers for those solutions, and honestly, Microsoft is not really in the business of backing up their mailboxes. It's not something that they have a lot of interest in. They liked our products, and they don't feel that they'll become competitive at any time in the near future. There's a number of information in this, and you can see some of our competitors, and we're not shy about naming them. I think you probably know some of them or all of them. Here are the main points. Let's start by the something that we don't have. So SharePoint online backups and OneDrive backups, something that we're asked all the time. They're scheduled for the second half of 2017. So that means very soon. I would say expected in the fall at worst. We're gonna add SharePoint Online and OneDrive backups to this same software, the same interface. You won't have to add anything new. You can back up to local storage on premise, which is what I talked about. It's the nice little feature. It doesn't cost you anything. It's a good reason to use our products. It does, so obviously this is about the whole solution, but it does more than just the Office 365. We do physical, virtual, cloud, users, and mobile. This is a full feature solution. The webinar today is really focused on Office 365, but it does everything. Easy web interface. You can do multiple streams at the same time. Integrated backup replication. So if you do backups to local, and I skipped over it a little quickly, but if you do backup to local, it's a single button to say, hey, replicate it into the cloud as well. Send us an email recovery is nice. And then let's talk about pricing. And let me flip. I'm going to leave it here. Most of our competitors and the market says email backup from specialized product is usually, I've seen a little lower, but not really. It's about $2 to $3. Yeah, I've seen as high as $5, and that's a good model. It's probably the simplest model. You're talking to your clients about their Office 365 licenses, and those licenses are on a per user model. So you're charging them, depending what they're buying, but from $5 to $30, or even if you have a Dynamics 365, $150 per user. You can basically throw in external backups or cloud backups for another couple of dollars. That's how I would do it personally, is how I would present it to my client. Hey, I'm making you a package. Let's say that's $20, $25 per user per month. Why don't I add like cloud backup in there, make it $22 instead? We, on our end, wanted to make sure that our backup solution was as simple and as competitive as possible. So we basically give you access to everything. And we won't cover everything today, but that includes like SQL backup, that includes mobile phones, that includes Office 365, that includes server, virtual machines, host. Actually, I'm going to cover everything. It includes everything that you may want to back up, short of those file in that filing cabinet over there. And it's all the same price. And for our US partners, this is 12 cents a gig. For our Canadian partners, 16 cents a gig, 16 cents Canadian, obviously. Sorry about that exchange rate. No. That's one thing I don't control, is that damn exchange rate. But what that means is, instead of charge, you can charge, you as a partner can charge that $2 per mailbox, but only get charged 12 cents a gig from us. And we do compression and everything. We looked, and as you may know, we have a lot of Exchange clients, a lot of very large installation of OSIS Exchange. We look at how much space on average a client would use. And we found that even including, and our Exchange is unlimited, by the way, a little plug for that, unlimited space in your account. Even with that unlimited method, the average mailbox is 3 gigabytes. So I'm sure you're at least as good as Matt as I am, probably a lot better, but I can do 3 times 12. it's 36 cents that it's going to cost you to do those Office 365 backups if your user have the average mailbox. And most likely a lot of them will have smaller mailboxes. So let's say you've sold them for $2 a mailbox and it costs you 12 cents. And actually that 12 cents is before your partner discount. Never forget. So that might be even 20% too high. But let's keep the 12 cents just to make it easy. You're being charged 36 cents for something that you're selling $2 just for the service itself. Those are very nice profit margins. And I don't want no knock on Office 365, but it's very hard to get margins on Office 365. I think you know. This is an opportunity to make some money. There's small numbers. I'm not kidding you. Like it's not $100 per mailbox, but it adds up. And not only that, is it will add up on revenue, but it will also add up, and you can add your services because you manage those email. If you give them the ability to just call you to restore an email, that's worth something. You got to charge for that. Let me here. The other thing is it's retention. If you manage somebody's backup, especially including email, and they get into the habit of just calling you like, oh, I need that file, like I lost that email that I had. They become very dependent on you. Their appreciation of your work will grow. And that's the way that you keep them for a long time. So I flipped a slide on you. Like I mentioned, it backs up just about everything. And this is sort of very well illustrated on this slide. You can see I forgot Azure, AWS. If you use other infrastructure, you should use ours. But I'll live with the fact that you may have another provider. It can back up those, no problem. It will do Windows servers, it will do Workstation, it will do Exchange servers, SQL servers, SharePoint, Active Directory, it will do Hyper-V server, it will do Office 365. So for the Microsoft stack, which is a very popular stack amongst our partner, it will do everything. And then it will do Amazon EC2 servers, it will do Linux servers, no problem at all. It will do Mac, it will do iPhone, iPad, Android, and it will do VMware. Actually, we've digged around our technology and everything, and I think we actually have a Windows Phone client. It doesn't see a lot of use. It doesn't even make it on the slide here, poor Windows Phone, but it exists. So a couple of points are reiterated here. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but pay for cloud storage only is a big thing. Free local and network backup. So I say local, it could be to a network drive, it could be to an external storage device, it could be to a lot of things. No commitment. The only commitment is the minimum amount that you can get is 50 gigs. So US partners, $6 a month. So for an organization, let's say for an organization, you want to back up all of their email plus the storage and everything, you're talking about $6 a month. I think that's something that you can sell really, really well. Honestly, personally, as a partner, I wouldn't sell that $6 a month. I would sell my backup services, so manage backups, and that would probably run you more into the hundreds of dollars a month. Instant restore is a big thing also. You can restore VMs, run them very quickly. There's a number of things that you can do. I recommend the other webinar that we did together that talked about online backup if you want to have a lot more detail. So as we get to the end of this presentation, this is the last slide. There's a few more reasons why you should consider us for online backup. There are competitors out there. There's a number of things. I think this sums it up pretty well. First of all, easy. ShareWeb has always been trying to make the cloud as easy as possible, as approachable as possible. And our online backup is a good illustration of that. No upfront expense, pay-as-you-go model, that web portal to do everything. It's very, very easy. It's a complete solution. I've said it a number of times. It's safe. You can do encryption. Use AES 256 for encryption, both in transit and at rest. It's very fast, much faster than competitors. We have studies to show that we're about 2 times faster than Veeam, for example, for storage, and about 8 times for recovery. It's very reliable. The technology has won award. It does everything. It's been in use for a long, long time. Over 500,000 businesses use the same technology. So I kind of blazed through all the content very quickly. I think the last thing that we have to mention is what are the next steps. I hope that what we've shown today at least gives you a taste for it and gives you the inclination to try it. If you want to try it, you can either talk to, if you don't know who to talk to, then talk to Noor. Noor is our online backup partner advisor specialist. Very nice guy, very approachable. His information is right here. He'll be happy to hear from you. If you already have an account rep, then contact them directly. I think that's the best way to go. What they can do for you easily is give you a trial of the product, and you can get started giving it a shot. We're very happy to provide trials to all of our partners, because so far, I think we're like 95% of people that have tried it have kept it. And I gotta call that other person. No. So it's going real well. People are real happy with it. It works really well. That's all I had for you today. Do we have any questions?
We do have a lot of questions. So the first one is, how is this different than Office 365 E3 archiving?
Right. So there's a difference between backup and archiving. Archiving is really meant to keep things forever and document them. This is really meant to have a copy somewhere else. I think of the key differentiators, there's price. If you already have E3 and you have archiving activated, then it's a question of whether you want to take your data somewhere else than in the Microsoft cloud, and sort of have the ability to take it with you. If you don't, then maybe this isn't the product for you. But I've seen a lot of partners that are very interested, that for a low cost, they have the ability to say, hey, we trust Office 365. It's the place that we work. It's the place that we put our data and everything. But God forbid, knock on wood, we have a copy somewhere else in case that we want something. Archiving is really, it will keep a copy of everything, will allow you to search more for legal reasons and things like that. Backup is to protect you. If somebody deletes something and everything, you'll have a history of everything, and you can go back to them, restore them, or read them easily. There is overlap between the two, absolutely.
Okay. I've got a second question from Donna again. When you recover, does it go into a recovered folder in the mailbox?
Yes.
So it won't be as hard as looking through your 30,000 emails.
Exactly. Otherwise, you also have the ability to just send it as an email. So even if you're recovering it for the person whose mailbox it is, you could still want to use the send as email for that person. So it goes back up to the top, and they send email from the system, and you could put your message in it to explain X, Y, Z.
Okay. And the solution that you showed today, it's the same solution to back up your PCs and all the different options that you have, and it's the same pricing, right?
That's right. So we wanted to have everything standardized and as accessible to our partner as possible. There is the only sort of variation on it is that sometimes it's a different agent. So we have an agent for SQL, we have an agent for Windows, an agent for Linux, an agent for Mac, and you'll have to install the appropriate agent. Other than that, same accounts, same billing, same reporting, the same management console, everything in one place, as easy as possible.
And can we support BlackBerry?
Yeah. I think that's maybe not. It's a fair question. No, BlackBerry not supported. If they make a big comeback, maybe we'll have to support it, but I doubt it. It is now the brand BlackBerry has been bought by a Chinese company, so I don't expect a really big comeback anytime soon.
And again, is the pricing per gigabyte, or it's buckets that you need to buy?
Right, it's a good question. So I've mentioned a few times, I feel like I'm repeating myself. We wanted to keep it as easy as possible and have as little commitment as possible. We had to put one bucket, which is basically the minimum that you have to buy. It's that 50 gig. But after that, it is per gig. So if you use 51 gig, you'll pay your basic price, $6, plus you'll pay 12 cents for the extra gig. After the first 50 gig, it's only per gig. So if you use 13, you get charged 13. Okay. You don't have to commit to 50 every time or anything like that. We only have that minimum to get you going, but after that, it's per gigabyte.
As an example, if I would like to use our backup agent to send my backup into Amazon storage, can I do that?
So that's an interesting question. It is theoretically possible if you expose your... And I'm helping you out because it's not really a good solution for SureWeb, I'll tell you that. So you could expose that Amazon storage to the client and then store on it. There'd be ways to do that. It'd be a bit of a problem with the network and everything, but you could do it. It's a bit of an odd-shaped solution if you do that. You can use... There are solutions that are based on Amazon if you're more interested in that, and we'd be happy to give you a comparison of our product with those products if you want to talk about it.
And if I'm doing local backup with our agent, can I recover the email from the agent from my local backup or?
Yes. So it's funny, that question. It's not funny. It's a good question. What's funny is that yesterday I tested it for local backups. I didn't test it for email specifically. It's something that I'll put on my list. But once you've made a backup with our solution, a local backup, if you're on a computer that has the agent installed, you can open it by just double clicking on it. It couldn't be easier. It's basically like a big zip. It's not a zip, but it's like a big zip file. It's an archive, and you can just click through it and get to the files that are within.
Okay. Is there a limit of servers or different application I can back up?
No. No limits.
No limits.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Can you explain where I could find the backup solution in Cumulus?
Yeah, sure. So if you're a partner, and I think everybody today is supposed to be partners. So if you're a partner, you create an organization, and as you create an organization, you'll be on the panel. I could show you. So if you really don't know, you can go to your partner. They'll show you. But basically, in Cumulus, in an organization, the name of the offer families is called Online Backup, and currently it's called Online Backup New because it's new. But just right there, you click it, and then there's one box. There's only one choice. Click it, and you'll be provisioned and ready to go. Basically, the whole process to provision the product it will take you a minute. It will take you 30 seconds.
Okay. Do I need to install an agent on every machine that I want to back up?
Yes. So the backups are done literally through the agent. So when we're talking about workstation backups or server backups, you install the agent on every machine. The only sort of exception to that rule is if you have and I don't want to get too technical, but if you have a virtualization host like an Hyper-V or VMware, you can install the agent just once on the host, and it will back up every VM without having an agent in it. But that's sort of the exception to the rule. It is an agent-based solution.
And someone like the option about SharePoint and OneDrive, do you think that the pricing model will be the same?
Yes. I guarantee you the pricing model will be exactly the same. What we're looking to do is and we're perfectly transparent. We want to give you as many ways as possible to bring data on our platform. Like that's the goal. And giving you access to OneDrive backup and SharePoint backup is another way to give you is another method for you to bring data to us. It will be 12. We may change the price one day. We might make cheaper or something. I don't want to commit to that, but what I'm saying, it will be the same pricing model for those products as well.
And how resilient is the Shell Web Backup data center, and where is it?
It's a good question. So actually, you have options. So I'll start with the options. We have it installed in the United States, and we have it installed in Canada, and you pick which data center you want to use. Most of our partners, they pick the data center in the same country that they're in. Obviously, for people that are outside Canada and the United States, you can just pick one of the two. We're a big fan of Canada, but United States is very good as well. And in both cases, both data centers are tier 3, at least tier 3 data centers, which means biometrics and security guard and controlled access 24/7 and generators and connected to multiple power grids and all that good stuff. And then specifically Sure Web infrastructure that is built within is on enterprise grade SAN, redundant storage. It's built on virtualization. It's monitored 24/7. All the networking gear is redundant. It is a very, very resilient platform as well. So I hope that answers the question. But yes, very resilient data centers.
Okay. And why does the backup not run cloud to cloud?
So we have good crowd today. They have good question. You're not letting me off the hook for anything. It's a good question. Why doesn't it run cloud to cloud? So at this time, our cloud storage is basically I don't want to call it dumb storage, but it receives the information from the agent. So at this time, it doesn't connect to Office 365 and transfer directly. It is on the roadmap. We know that that's the preferred model. That's what we want to offer to our client. We felt it was more important to offer something if it was through the agent than not offer anything while we wait for the cloud to cloud. Cloud to cloud is to come. It'll be the same product, same interface, everything. Of note, cloud to cloud would sort of restrict the local storage element. So for now, there's at least one advantage, which is you can do local backups as well.
I think that's pretty much all the question that we have for the moment. There is someone asking if we can share the roadmap. It was in the presentation. If you want to have the slide deck and see the roadmap that we showed today, you can simply ask your account manager or no. It will be pleased to send the complete deck.
Absolutely, and more than that, or less than that, I guess. There's a lot of things coming for this product. There's a lot of new exciting features that are coming. As it stands today, it already does so much, but there's so much more it could do. I see one of the question is, are we affected by the flooding in Canada? So for people that don't know, we have a lot of flooding in Montreal here where our data centers are located. And the answer is not at all, not affected, not even a little bit. That is the whole point of being resilient. There's a little bit of flooding here and there. There's not even a concern at our data center. Everything is running business as usual.
And can you talk about more about like the protection that's going to be with our online backup solution against ransomware?
So that's a good question. So basically, the thing with ransomware is, and especially let's say that currently you're doing only local backups, which a lot of people are doing. It's fine. It's not a bad idea. It's a lot better than no backup at all, but don't get me wrong. But what's going to happen is you're going to get ransomware. That ransomware is going to encrypt all the data that it can see. And most likely that local backup that you're doing, it can't see it, because if your computer is doing backup somewhere, it has access to it. And if it has access to it, then that ransomware also has access to it, and it will encrypt the backup. It will encrypt the backup as well. The protection that you're now afforded by what you would have with online backup, and this isn't terribly specific to Office 365, because Office 365 is well protected against. I don't think Microsoft's going to let in any ransomware. But to protect your files that you have, if you're using online backup, is once you have backup and you've put them in the cloud, those backups are very well protected from that ransomware. So the ransomware may encrypt everything that you have on premise, but you now access your backup that you have in the cloud, retrieve them and restore from that, and be able to recover. And that's a big difference between having cloud backups and not having cloud backups.
Thank you so much, Guillaume, for all those answers.
Very happy to help.
If you have more questions, do not hesitate to send them to your account manager or Nor. It will be pleased to answer them for you. Thank you for attending this webinar. It was, I think, really interesting with all those questions. We like that.
Yes.
And give you the word of the end.
Thanks for coming, and hopefully you give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen?